Greetings petrolheads, welcome back to Automation the Car Company Tycoon game. Today we are gonna continue our review series. It is going to be the CB by Soltra, sent in by UM Gaming HD. And let's first of all go to the first model here, which came out in 1940. So it is basically focused on being cheap, as I read this. Yeah. Okay. So a cheap 1940s car, affordable for the everyday person, for the average everyday people. Okay. Yes, thank you game, I know that. So it has a steel ladder chassis, front longitudinal engine placement. You could have also gone for rear longitudinal, that would have made it a little bit cheaper I think, but also just harder to drive and harder to balance and everything. Just on a quick note, rear longitudinal is cheaper to build because you don't need the drive shaft from all the way to the front until the rear axle. Instead you would have the engine right here and send the power directly to the rear axle, and that is why it is cheaper. So front suspension is McPherson's and rear suspension is solid axle coil, which does fit the theme of being cheap, and so do the steel panels. As far as looks go, I really like him. It looks like a really just a real classic out of the 40s. It looks pretty simple, although the front is kind of busy with these two sets of headlights and also the indicator down here, but it fits pretty well. It also fits proportionally with the grille in the middle, and also this grille underneath the number plate adds a nice little touch. And the triple taillights I like. I'm not sure if that was really, what they did in the 40s. I think they went for only two or sometimes even only one fixture, but still it still looks like a 40s car and it looks good. It is rear-wheel drive, isn't it? Yeah, of course. Only other option would be 4x4, which isn't really all-wheel drive. It is like those, for those of you who don't know the difference between all-wheel drive and the 4x4 system. The 4x4 system is basically when you're going off-road, you can push a button to also send some power to the front wheels, but other than that it's always rear-wheel drive, which is why the stats and performance stats and everything is the same as if it was just normal rear-wheel drive, but the 4x4 system gives it some bonus score to off-roading. That's all there is to that. We got an inline 4 in here with a really small displacement, it seems. Pushrod head type, cast iron obviously on the materials because there's nothing else available. Heavy duty cast conrods and pistons. Maybe, oh. Even this little engine makes too much torque for the cast conrods to handle. Alright, well, there is that. Minus 15 quality on the bottom end. Okay, now I understand why. 6.2 compression ratio is almost as low as it gets. Minus 15 quality in here, damn. Single para eco with two, with twin carburetor configuration, which looks like this. And then we have a standard intake, obviously. Regular leaded fuel. Again, minus 15 quality in the fuel section. And then minus 15 quality on the exhaust section as well. And the cast log header. It doesn't get cheaper than that. So, production units is 12.9. Material cost is $373. That's just so cheap. But the reliability is not very good as a result. Rev limit is 2,500. it can't go any higher without making any problems, I would assume. We got a 4-speed manual though. 4-speed is not my idea of a very cheap car, but it's probably better for economy reasons, I guess. 94mm tires, 12-inch rims, hard long life road tires, again -15 quality, -4 quality only on the gearbox. At least something that's not like the cheapest possible quality. Only got drum brakes up front and on the rear. No brake fade because of the race pad type, and we do have -12 quality, and even with that we don't get brake fade. That is very interesting, but the car is also very light, so there is that. No under tray obviously. +3 quality on the aerodynamics, huh? That's interesting. Everything else has negative quality, but the aerodynamics have positive quality. Well, we also got way more cooling airflow than required. And then for seats, basic interior, no entertainment, like no quality at all in here. Does the quality and the safety actually make a difference when there's no safety? Yes, it does. That's interesting. I want no safety in my car, and that no safety that I have should be of the worst possible quality. Yeah, makes sense. I mean, that's probably something that the devs are gonna fix at some point, because having no safety is having no safety, and the quality slider shouldn't affect anything if you change the quality slider when you don't have anything in there. That's just my 2 cents. It's not your fault, and I'm sure the devs are gonna balance that at some point. As far as suspension goes, we have a pretty weird setup with a -3 degree front camber. Like, that is something you normally find on pure race cars. That's so much camber. I don't think that's very realistic for a 1940 car, and I'm not even really sure why you would do that. Oh, for more drivability, huh? Yeah. You can't change the rear camber at all, but you can change the spring stiffness. What was it at? 1.0 or 1.2? I think it was 1.0. But anything other than drivability is at 0 as far as the stats go. So I expect this thing to be like extraordinarily cheap. Oh, yes, it actually is. 5,700 without a markup. That is just like $5,700 in today's money is what is actually lower than your average like good used car costs, and you can have a new car for that kind of money in 1940, obviously. So yeah, this is like, if its main purpose is being cheap, then it does a really good job at that, and at not killing people with oversteer, despite being rear drive. So, well, can't say anything too bad about this car. It does what it's supposed to do, and it does rather well at that. So next up is a 1942 convertible version of this. And as far as engine goes, we still have the same thing in here, with a little bit more power, a little bit more reliability, because it is 1942. Is there anything worth noting that has changed? No, not really. Everything's the same, just carried over to 1942. Now, top speed is geared to be the same as before. Open differential again. Same setup here on the tires and on the brakes too. Still get that +3 quality on the aerodynamics. The interior is the same as well. And the suspension is also completely the same. Drivability is down to 4.9, but because this has a removable soft top, it is extremely marketable in convertible sport budget. Convertible sport budget? Why is this so strong in the convertible sport budget category when everything apart from drivability is 0 and drivability is at 4.9? I mean, there's probably not that much competition out there in 1940, but still. Well, okay. That's probably also gonna be rebalanced at some point, but like if the main goal was to make a convertible that's as cheap as possible, you pretty much have it right there. So there is that. If you want a really cheap car that's also got a removable soft top, well, why not? I really don't have much more to say about this trim in comparison to the other one because everything else is the same. And now let's go look at the 1943 wagon. Alright, look at the engine. That is the same one. That is still the same one. Still the same engine. Yep. All the quality and everything else is the same. But looks like we got more drivability here. This is a little bit longer, like the estimated, or at least the top speed that it's geared to is a little bit higher. Still got -15 quality on the hard long life road tires. 0 to 200 kilometers an hour not available. Steer rims, no brake fade again. Still with the 100 pad type, very racy. This is also the same still, and we got 5 seats in there, which is new compared to the 4-door. Basic interior with -14 quality. Man, there's just gonna be absolutely nothing at all in that interior. And still -13 quality on the suspension and the same setup as before. But apparently it being a wagon, just due to the nature of the way the body is shaped, that changes the weight distribution, which changes this graph, the steering behavior. And those changes apparently were in favor of drivability, which is why it's higher. And let's see, this also costs $5,700. It is good in family utility budget and utility budget, and also city eco. Running costs are just pretty much as cheap as it gets. $1,561 per year. That is like extremely cheap for sure, compared to like that is also in today's money, by the way. Like I'm having a relatively, I'm not gonna say I'm having a tough time, but usually my cars end up at about 2,200, 2,500, something along those lines, of running costs per year. So this is significantly below that. I don't know how much lower you can actually get. The reliability is not that great, especially considering this Like on the interior, there is nothing that can go wrong at all. But because the suspension and the gearbox and everything that makes this car go is of poor quality, obviously that affects the reliability. So, but if this is just meant to be as cheap as possible and also a great practical car, then again, you did a good job there. Like, that's exactly what this car is, and it does its job. It's cheap, it's practical, it's affordable to run, it's small, light, doesn't use that much fuel. I mean, the economy isn't that great for an engine this small and for a car this light, but I mean, it's the 40s, so you know, clocks were ticking differently back then, and cars were using a lot more fuel than, you know, comparable cars are using today. So yeah, overall, pretty good job with this budget car. I don't see a whole lot that I would change. That could also be because I don't typically build cheap cars, and I therefore have no idea how to improve cheap cars. But one thing I will say is that maybe going for a little bit stiffer springs, because you don't have any comfort anyway, would definitely improve durability some more, so that people don't get killed by, you know, heavy understeer. There we go. That brings it up to 24.6 from, what was it, 21? Yeah, 21.1. So I'm just saying that that's gonna make a difference. Other than that, I haven't really found very much that I would change. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Leave a like or a comment if you did. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time.